Large explosions could be heard across Goma as M23 rebels claimed they had taken over Goma, the biggest city in the east of the country, on Sunday. But the advance was met with some international condemnation.
This morning, the UK Foreign Secretary spoke with President Kagame and called for urgent de-escalation, outlining the need for Rwanda and DRC to urgently return to the negotiating table. Now more than ever, it is critical that MONUSCO is able to deliver its mandate. M23 attacks on peacekeepers, with support from the RDF, must stop immediately.
Rwanda's representative at the council meeting accused the army of violating a ceasefire and has previously rejected accusations that it backs the rebels.
In violation of the ceasefire, the FARDC decided to intensify its military operation by attacking the positions of the M23, which retaliated and took more territories. Unfortunately, we regret that the international community chose to condemn the M23 for extending its territories without condemning FARDC military coalition for violating the ceasefire. The ceasefire was between all the warring parties, so all warring parties should have observed it.
The UN Security Council was also briefed on the effects of the M23 takeover on the population and the issues facing humanitarian efforts.
Roads are blocked and the airport can no longer be used for evacuation or humanitarian efforts. M23 has declared the airspace over Goma closed.
Monsieur le Président, en cet instant même,
Mr. President, at this very moment, an attack of unprecedented intensity is taking place in plain sight of the world. Additional Rwandan troops have crossed the boundary markers 12 and 13 of the border crossing between Goma in the DRC and Gisenyi in Rwanda, penetrating our territory in broad daylight in an open and deliberate violation of our national sovereignty. This is a frontal assault, a declaration of war that no longer hides itself behind diplomatic artifice.
Forces armées de la République démocratique du Congo.
Meanwhile, Kenyan President William Ruto on Sunday announced an urgent meeting of the leaders of the East Africa community to address the spiraling conflict.
We will be convening an extraordinary East African Community Summit within the next 48 hours to facilitate and to deliberate on this crisis and chart a way forward.
He called on leaders to accept peace, stressing that the worsening humanitarian crisis, including the closure of Goma's airspace, was of grave concern.
I call on the parties to the Luanda process on Eastern DRC and appeal specifically to my brothers, President Felix Tshisekedi and President Paul Kagame, both of whom I have had the occasion to speak to this evening, to heed the call for peace.
M23 rebels have taken control of vast parts of eastern DRC since 2021. Hundreds of thousands of residents have been forced to flee their homes. Despite several peace initiatives, a lasting solution has yet to be reached. Caroline B., CGTN.